But if your child is clean, fed, interacted with, and comfortable, I don't have a problem. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to make sure everybody understands that being the baby mama it's not negative.
It can be made out to be.
Right, but it's one, you are the one responsible for that child. You are the one that's going to have to deal with the sickness, the anger issues, the everything.
Right.
So I don't understand why it's a negative when you're the one that's handling all of the important aspects. Like, it's almost as if the parent that's not the sole provider gets a pass. Yeah. And they get to go out, joyride, have fun with their life, do whatever the heck they want, and not have to deal with the issues you just dropped in my lap because of whatever happened in your home.
Right.
And that, I think, is where the bitterness comes in.
Yes.
And that's why the baby mama drama is so stigmatized. It's wrong.
Right.
But it stems from pain. We're
does.
taking it all in, and we're trying to help you do your part. So just do your part. And that doesn't have to happen.
And likewise, like, as I'm a bonus parent for all that doesn't know. And so if the child, I say my child because I lay some type of foundation for every child in my home. So if my child, your biological child, comes back home saying, oh, my mother said X, Y, and Z and doesn't like you, again, I don't hold that to that child's fault. But you got to understand you are instilling negative things about a caregiver to your child. Whether you like me or not, whether you like what I do or not, your child is cared for.
And they probably
and
like
loved.
You enough. I mean, geez, they come.
Right. So if you are in a position where you have to interact, deal with by far, indirectly or directly, with a bonus parent, whether you like them or not, one, I suggest you give them a try because I'm damn good. No, a little biased. But no, honestly, give them a try. Even if you're not the best of friends, come to a cordial understanding.
Yes.
For the betterment of your child. And I don't expect everyone to get along and, be the Brady Bunch. That's not going to happen every time. But if you can absolutely refrain from saying negative things in earshot, and I say in earshot, meaning any point where they may be able to read, hear, or see your reaction, if it's negative towards that other person, that needs to be negated. That needs to be done at a time where your child is not privy to it, because that sets a precedent for that child. That sets a conflict internally with that child. Typically, children do not want to go against their parents. Typically, children have a problem having to weigh the emotions associated with picking mommy or daddy, let alone bonus parents. So when they know that there's conflict, it needs to be very clear that it's not for them to fix, because they want to fix it. They want their family to be whatever picture perfect that they have instilled in their head. That's what they want. So please just be mindful that these children are innocent bystanders that are being impressioned on by our judgment, by our reactions, by our justifications for X, Y, and Z. Let them choose to love and like who they want to love and like. If they're not being abused, mistreated, treated incorrectly or inappropriately, let them choose. By all means, mamas that's keeping your baby safe, daddies that's keeping your baby safe, keep doing it. Keep doing it. And I applaud the parents that are trying their best, either individually or as a joint venture, to keep these children safe and keep them in a place where they can continue to grow, learn, like be prosperous, like little people. And little people have such great, like they can do a lot. I seen this little girl that had her own business. And I'm online all the time trying to support youth. I went to one of these vendor events, and this young man painted on jackets and shirts and clothing, hand painted unique articles of clothing. These young people are so creative. It's amazing.
Talent everywhere.
But they cannot utilize that if all they're getting or all they know is conflict.
Negativity, yeah.
The conflict will start to weigh in on their person, because if you don't like their mother, or you don't like their father, or you don't think their father is a piece of anything, who are they? Because they are made up of you and you. So who are they? If all you guys got is negative remarks for each other, eye rolling, disposition, posturing, yelling, who are these children?
True.
And this is how they start to form their identity.
Right.
Because they want to be like mommy, or they want to be like daddy, or even they want to be like bonus parent. But if they feel like mommy, daddy, or even grandparents sometimes don't like the parents or their role models,
right,
they'll either suppress it, which causes turmoil and conflict internally, or they'll rebel against it.
Right.
And then you wonder why these children are out here being rude and being disrespectful and don't know how to mind their manners around certain people, or, just the body language in general. All they hear is negative stuff.
Right. See, I'm one of those that I thoroughly talk to my children. You got to explain everything. That's how I feel.
Right.
You can't just say one thing and think that they understand it, because kids are very impressionable.
Yes.
You definitely have to watch what you say. If I ever open my mouth within earshot of my son, I always have to clarify what it is I just said, because...
Right. And for my children, what I'm big on is, I love your dad, but I don't like when.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that
right.
you don't like it. I just don't like it for me.
Understand.
And so they understand that when I say I don't like it, it's because of my personal
preferences. Exactly.
Right. Where I stand, that means it doesn't sit well for me.
Right.
And they understand that. And so and that goes across the board, not just for their dad. And I tell people, I can't deal with this behavior. Right. My children know when I say I can't deal with this behavior, it's because it's not sitting well with me. Doesn't mean that they can't explore that person, that topic, especially now that they're older. They can do that. But it doesn't sit well with me. Okay. So I have to draw the line. And so my children also know. They're like, well, I tried this. It didn't work out. And I'm like, I can understand that. So what are you going to do? And they have to come up with their own plan as to how they're going to address it. I might help them. I give them little tools, whether it's from online or personal experience, tell them a story. But I don't tell them what to think. I might guide them in how to come to a solution, right, but I don't tell them what to think.
Exactly.
Especially about their other caregivers. Same thing with teachers. There's sometimes my children will come home, oh, this teacher doesn't like me. Well, why? Oh, well, they said X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, what was happening at that time? And again, it's a feeling. Children are very, very emotional.
Very.
So one little piece or saying something candidly, they take that to heart.
Right.
So one teacher said blatantly, oh, I don't like when children, I forgot what it was, but I don't like when children X, Y, and Z. And at that time, my child thought, oh, that meant me. That meant me. But when we talked about it, and we talked about what was happening in the class, and we talked about what the teacher said, and what my child was going through, right, we were able to formulate a way for my child to go back and talk to that teacher directly, without me, and get to the bottom of this. Right. And then my child came back and was like, oh, the teacher further explained. It wasn't about my child. It was about a general understanding of how the class was going, because that teacher at that time could not get control of the class. Specifically for a few children that was just out of line, but it caused the whole class to be disruptive.
Okay, and that example ties into the fact that when a child hears something,
Right.
whether it's directed at them or not, they can take it personally.
Right.
So be mindful of what you say around children.
Right.
You know, especially if you're somebody that's a bonus parent or biological parent with those other aspects in play.
Right.
Because if your child is leaving your side to be around other people, they're either going to say what it is you said, feel the way you felt, not understanding it.
Or just act on it.
I was just going to say yes, or just act it out or whatever, because that is what
they
kids
know.
do. Yeah. They're trying to find their own boundaries,
Yes.
if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And so even with that, it's teaching them how to come to their own understanding.
Right.
And this transpires across all fields, not just with mommy and daddy or bonus parents. This is when you get into work. How do you separate your emotions from the facts and then be able to come to a resolution on your own without being so emotionally charged that you shut down?
Right. Or that you lash out.
Right. Right. So all this comes to play outside of just your home or your parental understandings. This plays a part in the bigger world. And so in terms of parenting, when you downgrade or belittle another parent, you are also stripping them of their authority to parent for that child. Because now that child's like, well, all I gotta do is tell daddy because daddy don't like when you X, Y, Z, or daddy don't like you because of this, this, and this. And then oftentimes, and I've seen this play out, is the child will learn, well, when I'm in trouble with so-and-so, I'll just tell daddy. Daddy already don't like, or mommy already don't like. And now y'all are arguing together, and this child has already caused one, more turmoil than you already had, and two, is not being addressed for whatever they have done.
Right.
Because now they've played the two of you together. Or the bonus parent, or whatever the situation is, if you have more parents at play.
Right.
And again, it's not that the child's being manipulative. The child is giving this information and is using it to the best of their knowledge and ability. Let me explain that again. Let me say that again. The child is not being manipulative.
Depends on the child.
The child is using the information you gave to meet their needs. No child wants to be in trouble. It's the same thing when we get pulled over for a ticket. For women, some women will start to cry and wither and act like they're damsel in distress. It's the same mechanisms. You already know that you can play on the heartstrings of certain people, and you do that. You can say it's manipulative, but you're finding a means to your end at that moment. So for that, if you're giving them these tools instead of other tools, that's what they're going to use. If you give them the tools of community, of understanding and coming to a resolution for your problems, they wouldn't have to play the two ends against each other. Because each of you would be like, well, let's talk about this. Or let's meet together and try and get to the bottom of this. Something.
Right, but it's not easy. I can't say it doesn't work, but it's not easy if you got one parent saying that and the other parent's off lollygagging, saying, I don't have to do this. This is my life. I do what I want. But the child is the one, basically, you're supposed to focus on, so you have to come together for the sake of that child. Now, if you don't have a child with her or him, then fine, wash your hands. But when you have that child, you have got to find that common ground.
Yeah, it is more work for the single parent that is putting in all the work. It is more work, but once you lay that foundation, that child will have that information to go across.
I understand. But oftentimes, the quote-unquote baby mama will just say, forget it. And she's done. She's no longer going to try and push that child to go ahead and seek that communication. She's not going to...
No, not seek the communication. Provide that communication.
What I mean is for the other parent. Because if the other parent isn't even trying...
That's on that other
parent.
But
you want that child to have that experience, and you're trying to actually engage that and let this other parent know that it's open. Here, You need a bond with your child. But that other parent is just off doing their own thing, then that person does feel bitter. That person does start to feel some kind of way because they're trying for the sake of their child. But it's not bitter as in, I don't want you to live your life. I don't want you. No, I want you to do more for your child. There's a difference.
And I think that's perspective, and that's where communication comes in. Without the child being present. And because ultimately, if the communication is, I don't want to be a parent and I want to go off and do X, Y, and Z, then you know where you stand. And some people might not say that outright because of fear of retaliation or whatever the case may be. But at least you know where you stand if that's the conversation, if that's how it ended. And again, it's all about perspective, because if you have somebody that was raised where they've never had a male figure or a female figure for some people in their life, or, you know, for me, I'm sure my children are used to women working because I've worked their whole entire life.
Yes.
Would that be different if, you know, my children then reenacted that in their adult life? I can't say that would be wrong. But at the same time, they know, because I communicated to them, that I worked so hard so they could have. But if I didn't communicate that to them, all they know is that I was gone.
Right. Exactly. And that's what a lot of parents forget, you know.
Because they're trying to, in some cases they try and shield their children from reality.
That could be another segment.
Yeah. They try and shield their children from the negative stuff that they might associate. Like, I could say, oh yeah, I'm, you know, I was a young mom, I caused this on myself, so therefore I yada yada yada, course of events. I could say that. But for me, I don't blame it. I bust my ass to make sure that they had. I bust my ass to make sure we wasn't on a revolving door through their whole life. We hit different points, we had some setbacks, but we continued to fight and we continued to go forward regardless of what happened in life. I can't always say that was true or I got help from their father because he didn't understand. And being young, I expected him to understand, and I expected him to meet us where we were at. That didn't always happen because he did not have that understanding. He did not have the drive, the motivation, the understanding that I had. And so now I can't fault him for that because we were on two different pages. We're still on two different pages, even though we started on the same page. We grew to be on two different chapters, let alone pages. We were on two different chapters. And again, no fault to either one of us. But that's the way life happened. And especially for our younger parents, this often happens.
Right.
And we become upset because we're on two different pages or different books sometimes.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that information? You're mad because you're having to fill both roles or overcompensate because of X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. But what do you have control over? You can't control somebody else. Even if they have the best intentions and it's just coming across wrong, or maybe they're physically there but not financially there, or maybe they're financially there but not physically there, maybe they're emotionally unavailable, whatever the case may be. You cannot expect, just because you have one understanding, that they're going to have the same understanding. Because we have understandings in general, not women, not men. In general, a person has an understanding based off of their experience, based off of what they're educated on. And I'm not just talking book smarts, I'm talking about life experience, life education, including book smarts or communicated smarts, whatever the case may be. Those things all compile into understanding. And then there's this option of denial. There are some people that will deny their obligations or responsibilities because they're stressed.
Interesting.
And that's not an out. I'm not giving anybody an out. It does not give you any opportunity to deny, abandon, or leave your child, whether the other parent got them covered or not.
Right.
Not an excuse. All I'm saying is that it is it does shadow over judgment when you're in denial or you're stressed because of X, Y, and Z. But as an adult, and I'm assuming you're an adult or acting as an adult when you make these children, you have to figure that out. You have to walk through those shadows to get to your answers and not be a burden or a further burden to the situation. That's not always what's happening.
Right.
And I feel like that's where the negative connotation is coming from.
I can see that.
So the trauma of, going through all the emotions for mom and dad when you're pregnant, it's like, holy crap, if this wasn't planned, we're all shocked here. Don't know why you're shocked, because guess what? You did it. But we're all shocked. And then it goes from being this happy, joyous thing to a bill. You're buying all this stuff. You're realizing you need all these space and all these things and all this stuff. And they're bills. At the end of the day, children are a lucrative like field of thing. You got childcare, you got toys, you got clothing, you got rattles, you got bottles, you got food, they're a bill. I was a bill, you was a bill, everybody's a bill.
Hence I ain't got no pets.
But
I will do the child, I ain't getting no pet.
But they're a bill. And for new parents, especially young parents, oh, this is cute. And for a while, the children are treated as baby dolls. You dress them up, they're really cute. It's all fun and games. Everybody's all happy for you. Everyone's promising to do this and babysit and help you with this and help you with that. Usually between 6 months and a year of the life of that child, all these things go away. All the help goes away. No one is really excited anymore. Your godparents are chosen, but they're off doing their life now. There's a lot of things that change between 6 months and a year. And you realize that it's just you and or maybe the other parent.
Or you and that child.
And you are having to do everything in your power to keep your life together. Raise this little innocent being that throws up all over you and poops all the time and wakes up at random times that you don't even understand why.
For no reason.
And you're trying to keep your relationship together on top of being a career woman or a student, or I don't want to exclude the men, but the career men, whatever the case may be, whatever it is professionally that you're doing, you're trying to keep all these things afloat. And then your child gets sick, because in the first year your child gets sick a lot. A lot. It's a little bit less when they're breastfeeding, but they still get sick a lot. Whether it's ear infections, the common cold, whatever the case may be.
Inherited asthma.
Right. Right. So you're up late, you're stretched thin, you're stressed. You are stressed. And rightfully so. But what often does not happen is the community comes together. Right. What often does not happen is the parents come together and recognize the stress.
Instead, they split.
Instead, they point the finger. Well, you didn't. I've been up every night. You didn't. And that's not helping.
No, it ruins the relationship.
Right. Pointing a finger at what someone didn't do is not helpful. And it just starts. If it hadn't already started, it starts the hostility. Because it sets a precedent that the other person, and rightfully so, you might not see what the other person is doing.
Right.
Because there's a difference in understanding and or speed on which people are doing things naturally. So you not being aware of the efforts or not acknowledging the efforts that the other parent is doing can bridge you further apart.
True enough. Hence the term baby mama. Because once you split, it's no longer just
you don't have another title.
Right.
Right.
So that's interesting. Well, see, we answered our own question. I get it.
So, it's never too late to communicate. Of course, the only way to have effective communication is if both parents or both parties or all parties are on the same page and willing to understand the other person's perspective.
Right.
So I encourage that, of course. But if you can't, then you have to make amends for yourself. And that might mean you're hearing that the other side is talking negatively about you. You're hearing X, Y, and Z. But as a parent, whether you have someone with you or not, your goal is to educate your child.
Right. Focus on that child and that child's mental well-being.
Let your child know that everyone is not going to like you, and it's not for you to fix whether they like you or not.
That's right.
Let your child know that there will be people in your circle that will smile in your face and throw dirt on your name, because this is real life stuff.
Right.
This spreads beyond just your family. Educate your child so they're aware and a little more prepared for real life than not.
Sounds like everything you said was fine. You got it good. Shoot. That concludes this session of Sip and Tip on Baby Mama
And Baby Daddy.
and Baby Daddy.
Please feel free to subscribe, like, and share our videos.
And tune in next week for another episode of Sip and Tip.
Peace.
Okay. See? So we
Yeah. I wasn't cutting y'all off, but no,
No,
you
no,
had
it's
mentioned
fine.
like the
No, we were
the
done.
liking and the sharing.
Yeah,
because I'm
we
gonna
forget
put
that.
I'm gonna put graphics in the video
Thank
to like comment, like, and share. But
Okay.
still, I need to hear
You
you
need
guys.
to say it.
Yeah, we should say it.
Yes, I know. We'll try and remember to say it at the end of everything now.
I know.
All right, video.
Video. Which
Deck the
one?
halls. Wait.